Get you down thither and buy for us from hence, that we may live and not die. And Joseph's 10 brethren went down to buy corn in Egypt, but Benjamin, Joseph's brother, Jacob sent not with his brother, for he said, lest peradventure mischief befall him. The sons of Israel came to buy corn among those that came, for the famine was in the land of Canaan. Joseph was the governor of the land, and he it was that sold to all the people of the land. And Joseph's brethren came and bowed down themselves before him with their faces to the earth. Joseph saw his brethren, and he knew them, but made himself stranger to them, and spake roughly unto them. He said unto them, Whence come ye? They said, From the land of Canaan to buy food. And Joseph knew his brethren, but they knew him not. And Joseph remembered the dreams which he dreamed of them, and said unto them, Ye are spies, to see the nakedness of the land ye are come. They said unto him, Nay, my lord, but to buy food are thy servants come. We are all one man's sons, we are true men, thy servants are no spies. He said unto them, Nay, but to see the nakedness of the land ye are come. They said, Thy servants are 12 brethren, the sons of one man in the land of Canaan, and behold, the youngest is this day with our father, and one is not. And Joseph said unto them, That is it that I spake unto you, saying, Ye are spies. Hereby ye shall be proved, by the life of Pharaoh ye shall not go forth hence, except your youngest brother come hither. Send one of you, and let him fetch your brother, and ye shall be kept in prison, that your words may be proved, whether there be any truth in you, or else by the life of Pharaoh surely ye are spies. He put them all together into the ward 3 days. Joseph said unto them the third day, This do, and live, for I fear God. If ye be true men, let one of your brethren be bound in the house of your prison. Go ye, carry corn for the famine of your houses, but bring your youngest brother unto me, so shall your words be verified, and he shall not die. And they did so. They said one to another, We are verily guilty concerning our brother, in that we saw the anguish of his soul when he besought us, and we would not hear, therefore is this distress come upon us. And Reuben answered them, saying, Spake I not unto you, saying, Do not sin against the child, and ye would not hear? Therefore, behold, also his blood is required. And they knew not that Joseph understood them, for he spake unto them by an interpreter. He turned himself about from them and wept, and returned to them again, and communed with them, and took from them Simeon, and bound him before their eyes. Then Joseph commanded to fill their sacks with corn, and to restore every man's money into his sack, and to give them provision for the way, and thus did he unto them. They laded their asses with the corn and departed thence. And as one of them opened his sack to give his ass provender in the inn, he espied his money, for behold, it was in his sack's mouth. He said unto his brethren, My money is restored, and lo, it is even in my sack. And their heart failed them, and they were afraid, saying one to another, What is it that God hath done unto us? They came unto Jacob their father unto the land of Canaan, told him all that befell unto them, saying, The man who is the Lord of the land spake roughly to us, and took us for spies of the country. And we said unto him, We are true men, we are no spies. We be 12 brethren, sons of our father, one is not, and the youngest is this day with our father in the land of Canaan. The man, the Lord of the country, said unto us, Hereby shall I know that ye are true men. Leave one of your brethren here with me, and take food for the famine of your households, and be gone. Bring your youngest brother unto me. Then shall I know that ye are no spies, but ye are true men. So will I deliver you your brother, and ye shall traffic in the land. And it came to pass, as they emptied their sacks, that behold, every man's bundle of money was in his sack. When both they and their father saw the bundles of money, they were afraid. Jacob their father said unto them, Me have ye bereaved of my children. Joseph is not, and Simeon is not, and ye will take Benjamin away. All these things are against me. And Reuben spake unto his father, saying, Slay my 2 sons, if I bring not them to thee. Deliver him into my hand, and I will bring him to thee again. And he said, My son shall not go down with you, for his brother is dead. He is left alone. If mischief befall him by the way in the which ye go, then shall ye bring down my gray hairs with sorrow to the grave. I know it's a lot of reading. There's a lot in this chapter, and of course there's a lot of background to get us up to where we're at. And we've preached through this for really a long time at this point. But Joseph, particularly in the last few weeks, going through some of these chapters, we'll try to recap very succinctly to get us up to speed. And so Joseph, of course, he is one of the children of Jacob, whose name was also changed to Israel. It's where we get the name of the children of Israel. Of course, there's 12 brothers. They also had a daughter, a sister named Dinah, that was there. They were all born unto Jacob. Jacob had 2 wives. One of those wives was Rachel. The other was Leah. Rachel, of course, was barren, could not bear children until God opened her womb later on in life. They also had children by some of the handmaids that were given unto Jacob. Rachel, of course, had 2 children. Those children were Joseph and Benjamin. She died giving birth unto Benjamin. We see some common themes in Jacob's life, and I think we're going to see those again as we look at this account. Jacob had some favoritism in his life, rightfully so to some extent, because Rachel was really who he chose to marry. Leah was very subtly given to him by Laban, her father. However, I think we talked about some of the same things that we saw with Isaac and Rebekah. Favoritism between Jacob and Esau have also now stemmed in the way that Jacob handles things in his own life. Also, Jacob's name, just by default, means deceiver. We see some of that aspect in him. He's going to get real frustrated with the sons in the next chapter and basically say, why didn't you just lie to the king of Egypt? Why didn't you just tell him not the truth? Because now, because you were so truthful, I may not have all of my kids back with me. Jacob was very much, in a lot of instances, even as somebody that was supposed to be a patriarch of the faith, really a lot about himself. You say, well, why is that important? Because Jacob is not the hero in the story. He has not been the hero in the story this whole entire time. We've been looking at patriarchs. We've been looking at Abraham. We've been looking at Isaac. We've been looking at Jacob. We even looked at Noah. Here's the thing about every single one of these men. They had faults, they had failures, and they came short of the glory of God. Joseph, he is someone that I think when you compare him to the rest, probably looked like he had a little bit more faith. Maybe he was a little bit more in line with things. But at the end of the day, Joseph is also not the hero in this story. And the thing about this, when we look in the Old Testament, we see these accounts, because we see how Joseph got to where Joseph was at. His own brothers basically said, we're going to take him and we're going to sell him into slavery. At first they wanted to kill him. And Reuben tells him, hey, don't do that, because they knew that it was this father's favorite son. They said, hey, don't kill him. Reuben said, maybe we should just sell him into slavery. And before they could sell him, he had already been picked up by some Midianite traders. They took him and sold him into Egypt. And we watched for the last few chapters how even though it was a miserable situation for Joseph, he was sold as a servant to Potiphar, the captain of the guard. And then Potiphar's own wife basically tried to get Joseph to lay with her. Joseph refused, and so she accused Joseph of forcing himself upon her. And because of that, Joseph got cast into prison. He spent upwards, I think, of close to 10 years in the prison. While he was there, he even told the chief butler, when you get restored, make sure you remember me. And guess what happened? The butler didn't remember Joseph. Why is that important? Because Joseph's situation was not one that any of us probably aspired to follow after. It was not one, I really want to go into prison, I want to go into slavery, I want to go into all these things, but God was with Joseph through it all. The truth is this, if you're God's, and God has saved you, God has brought you into saving faith, you can trust this, that no matter what the situation is, you can learn to trust God, because God is faithful. Sister Gina today already testified about how faithful that God is. We look around our church and we see time and time again that God is faithful. Even when we can't see Him working and we don't understand what He's doing. Our family is point in case of that this week. And I didn't think I was going to go that route. I honestly, Mike, thought in my head, I don't really need to testify about that. Don't need to thank God for that. But I would be amiss, Steve, if I didn't thank God for another blessing that He brought to my home. Another time where it didn't seem like, honestly, I kind of felt like Zacharias and Elizabeth, where there's no real point praying about this much anymore, because God has obviously given us exactly what we need, and I want to be content in what God has given me. And I've learned lessons, Mike, along the way. And I know I still am not of an old age, but I'm thankful that God has already taught me some things that no matter what state I'm in, Steve, I want to learn to be content. And not content and act miserable, but I want to be content and act in joy of the Lord. Because no matter where you're at, no matter what you're going through, God has His eye on you if you're His child today. And He knows where you're at. He knows where He put you. And He put you there for a very specific reason and time and purpose. Joseph was no different. Joseph is in the land of Egypt as a slave. But all of a sudden, Pharaoh has a dream. And Pharaoh's dream is that he sees that there was going to be a famine in the land. And Joseph comes and interprets this dream and tells him this famine is going to be unlike anything, honestly, this whole world has ever seen. It's a famine that will go across all of the earth. It will be for 7 years. And there will be 7 years of plenty that will be right before that. But you've got to prepare yourself, because when this famine comes, no one will survive if we don't do something about it. Pharaoh looks at Joseph and says, how am I going to go against anything you said? Surely you have the Spirit of God in you, and I'm going to establish you, and I'm going to raise you to be second in command in my kingdom. Joseph gets raised to second in command in Egypt. And as Joseph is there, he uses his wisdom to basically prepare the people of Egypt to be able to sustain them through the entirety of all this famine. Now the thing is this, and I look at the first verse of this chapter in chapter 42. It says, now when Jacob saw that there was corn in Egypt, Jacob said to his sons, why do you look upon another? If we could go back to chapter 41 and look at verse 57. It's the way this chapter ends. It says, and all countries came into Egypt to Joseph for to buy corn, because that the famine was so sore in all the lands. Do you understand what's happening here? And I think it's very hard sometimes as we read these stories. We read them just as stories, and we tell ourselves, and some of us know them so well, that I don't think we understand the impact of what's happening to these people individually. And if I could, I just want to paint some pictures for you just for a second so you understand the impact of this. Jacob's family was 66 people at this point. And I want you to understand that this was not just happening in Egypt. This was not just happening in Canaan where Jacob lived, but it was happening across the whole earth. And maybe after a month or two of nothing growing and nothing being there, you may have had a little bit of a store set up. But imagine that this famine not only goes on for a few weeks, a few months, then it goes on to months after months, and then a year, and then year two. It's 7 years. Nothing is growing. Nothing is being raised. Your family can't eat. You don't have any hope. Doesn't feel like you have anything. And before long, all those creature comforts that you've had, like the tents and the gold in the case of Joseph, and even some of the cattle, that starts to become worthless after a while because you can't even basically survive for your family. You have kids, you have little ones. We read some of this and we see them talk about Benjamin, and it makes it look like he's a little child. Benjamin was probably close to 30 years old at this point. If you read the time that they went to the land of Egypt, Benjamin had 10 kids of his own. These are adults that have families, that are trying to provide for their own. And they don't have any ability to do this. They knew how to herd. They knew how to go with their cattle. They knew how to raise their homes. They knew how to take care of themselves. They knew how to survive. And when all of that was gone, what did they do? And look at this. What does Jacob say in verse 1? He hears there's corn in Egypt. I am not going to over-spiritualize this and look at that and say, well, he was wrong for going to Egypt, because I've heard people say that. They say, well, he should never have went there. God provided and God planned to send Joseph in front of them so that Joseph could prepare to sustain his whole entire family. God planned this. Can I say that when we look in the Old Testament, we see stories like this, we would be remiss if we did not look at it and see the gospel in it? You say, what do you mean? You may not realize this, but if you are not God's and you are not saved, you have a famine in your life, and that famine is of the Word of God. That famine is the Word of God. It should be the bread of life. Jesus tells us in John chapter 6, He says, I am the bread of life. If you do not eat of me, you will have no part in me. And the truth is, if you've never eaten of Jesus, if you've never tasted in who Christ is, you could try to fill yourself with all the things of the world. You could fill yourself with your family. You could fill yourself with your job. You could fill yourself with your house. All these comforts that you have. But at the end of the day, you're starving. Why is that? because you don't have the only thing that's worth sustaining you. They had animals. They had tents. They had nice things. They had gold. And you know what they found? When the famine came thick, all of that was not worth anything because they needed one thing. They needed bread. When you see corn here, it's talking about grain. And grain was used to make bread. And that bread was a way of sustaining themselves. They couldn't sustain their animals. Their animals wouldn't have been worth anything because they didn't have grain. Their money wasn't going to be worth anything because it was based in their ability to barter and trade with grain. You may think, I have all these things and I'm doing well. And I'm working for myself and I'm working for my home and I'm taking care of this. But friend, if you're not trusting in Jesus, you have nothing. You're in a famine. And whether you understand this or not, if you're not relying on Jesus and you're not relying on the bread of life, you're killing your kids. You're killing your home. You're killing yourself. Because the only thing that's worth surviving and sustaining is Jesus. Joseph is a type of Christ in the story. You say, what do you mean? He was not the Christ, but he was sent by God to sustain life and to provide. And what was Jesus sent for? Jesus was sent to the Lamb slain before the foundation of the world. I will say, for all of Jacob's faults, I like what he says in verse 1. Imagine this. They're there. I can picture Reuben looking at Judah saying, hey, do you have any bread? My family's starving. Judah looks at Simeon and says, hey, I don't have any. Do you have any bread? My kids are starving. They look over and they see Gad. And Gad says, I don't have anything either. And they're all just looking at each other, trying to figure out what to do. Our families are going to die. And what is it that Jacob says? Why look ye one to another? Can I say this? When it comes to the saving of your soul and the redemption of your household, why are you looking at me? Why are you looking at Steve? Why are you looking at yourself? Don't look to us. Look to Christ. Look to Jesus. Look to the place where God has already sent the provision. Isn't it beautiful? You don't know what to do, but he's already made the way. He already sent Jesus. He already sent Joseph to Egypt. Jacob had no clue that Joseph was there. Where did this come from? I think it came. I know that if you're starving, if you're hungering after righteousness, if you're desiring to be filled, the only thing, but it was brought to his mind right here of exactly what was going to have to happen. And so Joseph, you say, well, he was mean to him. He was trying to get back at them. I think he was working in the wisdom of God. I think because it had to help the brothers to come to repentance. I think it had to help Jacob to learn to just trust God. He's over 100 years old and he's still learning to trust God. He gets word, I love this, I'm going to jump 3 chapters ahead. But he finally gets word that Joseph's alive. And Joseph sends caravans of goods in front. And it said that Jacob's soul was joyful because he saw the caravans. You know what we do when we preach the gospel? We're sending caravans from a distant country. Jesus is saying, look and see that I've given you everything that you need. What are we learning? In times of hardship, we should learn to trust in God. But it should help us that when comfort comes, that we learn not to forget God. Deuteronomy chapter 6, he tells us, he says, hear, O Israel, your Lord is one Lord. And he said, I'm giving you these statutes, these judgments, and these commandments so that you can teach them to your kids. I want you to write them on the pillars of your house. I want you to talk about them when you rise up in the morning. I want you to talk about them when you go through the day. When you lay your head down and sleep, I want you to talk about them. He said, why? He said, because when the day comes that your kids say, what does this mean? You can tell them about how God brought you out with a mighty hand out of the land of Egypt. But he said this, he said, when you get to the land that you're going to go, And he said, you get to the houses that you didn't build, and you get to the vineyards that you didn't dig, and you eat the food that you didn't grow, and you get real comfortable. I want you to learn not to forget God. Why is that important? Because when it comes to your salvation, you didn't go first. You didn't make the choice. God chose you. You didn't build the house of this tabernacle. God built it. God, you didn't clothe yourself. God clothed you. You're not feeding yourself. God's feeding you. What does our flesh do? When it gets real comfortable, we start relying on ourselves and we forget God. Why are we preaching to you today? It's to remind you and to increase your faith in what? In God. In His ability to sustain you and to keep you and to help you. If you've never come to grips with that, if you've never repented and believed the gospel, we're preaching to you so you can hear the good news that you are in a famine and you have been dead and you've not been seeking God. But there is hope, and that hope is in Jesus. He's the only thing that can feed you. He's the only thing that can sustain you. He's the only thing that can sustain your kids for all eternity. You might be able to give them food today. You might be able to give them a 401k. You might be able to give them a retirement that when you die, you pass it down. But when they die, that will not sustain them. But you know what will sustain them for eternity? Jesus. He's the only hope. He's the only thing that can save them for all eternity. So why do you look one at another? Why do you look at yourselves? Haven't you heard? The bread of life came through Jesus. He is the sacrifice that ended all sacrifices. He's the Son of God. In Him were created all things, and by Him and for Him. Everything was created for Him. You were created for Him. Have you been hungry? I don't care how old you are. I don't care if you're 100 years old. If you've hungered and nothing can fill you up, and nothing will fill you for all eternity, it's because you haven't turned to Jesus. Joseph gets them. He puts Simeon in prison. Tells him, go back. I'm not going to give you anything until you come back and give me Benjamin. Look what he did. He put money back in their sacks. All the money that they brought, he put it right back. I love what he tells them in the next chapter. They bring it back because they were afraid. They thought, if he gave us this money back or we took it and there was a mishap, maybe it was a mistake. And Joseph's response to them was, I got your money. He said, that was your God's doing. I'm thankful, though, that God knows, Steve, that sometimes even when I bring my very best, He has a better way. Joseph still treated them very heartily. Joseph also knew that the only hope that they had was not back in Canaan at that point. It was to be with him, because he could sustain them. Why did he do what he did? Because it was basically to get old, stubborn Jacob out from Canaan so he'd finally come back to Egypt where he was supposed to be. And he did this. He used this. And of course they get back and they tell him, they say, Jacob, Dad, He's not going to give us any more until we bring Benjamin with us. And his heart was broken. He loved Benjamin. He already lost Joseph, he thought. He thought Joseph was dead. His own wife that he loved, Rachel, was dead. And thought, now you're going to take Benjamin? Shows how much he cared for Simeon. He's like, well, I guess we'll just leave Simeon back in Egypt. Hey, parents, don't have favoritism. It does not bode well. You have kids and you deal with them differently. They have different personalities. They have different traits. But the love should be the same. I don't know if these boys felt that much. But nevertheless, here's the truth. Even when Jacob failed as a parent, God was faithful. Even when the brothers failed as brothers, God was faithful. Even when you and I have failed Him, God is faithful. He'll take good care of you. He knows how to care for His own. Don't lean on your own understanding. Quit looking one at another. But look to Him. Look to the bread of life. Look to the Word of God. That's the only sustenance you have for your soul. Look at the rest of it at a time. That's the message. Let's go to Lord in prayer.